Dill pickles. Dildos. Are they made in the same way? Also tennis rackets. Wait, I messed it up. I don't know about that. It was Jim Jefferies.
Hello.
I did it wrong. You're supposed to say on the next edit, and then you say also tennis rackets.
Or you go, probably not, or something like that. Forrest gave it a go. You did. I thought you were pretty good.
Yeah, that was good.
Kelly, you do next week.
Okay.
Yeah, and then Jack, you do the week after that. Then we'll go around the table until we get it right. Hopefully not too many people tuned out when they went, Jim's not there.
It's a Forrest-only episode, only talking about astrology.
Already gone.
Yeah. And you know it's not me. I hate pickles. I'd never even mention them. Pickles, bananas, why they come from hell.
Yeah, I didn't make the voice deep enough. I guess my voice is already deep.
Yeah. No.
Pickles.
Well, everyone had a good week. I know that everyone's still reeling. I've been reading the articles about my retirement in 2 years from stand-up comedy.
Lots of think pieces.
Yeah, that episode hasn't even come out yet, so we'll see how it goes, right?
Yeah.
What do we got for us today, Jack?
We got Comment World.
Comment world. Summer's come and you're gonna hang out and comment world. I sent that in.
I was at your house when you did that. It's me in the background.
Every week I've been waiting to see if it would get played.
Why won't they play by
Are you previewing these, Jack, at all? That don't have no music.
We've played that one before. That's Hristigen. Anyway.
Yeah. It's pronounced Christian. Christian.
Life hack. Pronounce it Christian.
And his friend G. Array.
I think Christian's a sponsor for the podcast.
We'll start off with some reviews.
Okay, Jaker.
5-star review. If this isn't your number one podcast, it'll definitely be number 2.
Is that a poo joke, or is it just someone who's just like, well, of course it's Joe Rogan's your number one, and then you go listen to something else? Or I like that podcast where those girls are talking about fucking people. Or that one where my dad wrote a porn. Surely you've read it. I've never listened to the podcast. How many porns did your dad write? They must be reading real slowly now.
I think they did each chapter. It must be done now because they had like an HBO special or something.
They've got 100 episodes. What was the fucking porn? War and Peace?
Terrible.
Another 5-star review titled "Got Me Laid." My girlfriend is really into sharks, and she gets turned on when I know stuff. Long story short, your shark episode got me laid. Thank you for that.
Oh,
wow.
Very welcome.
Yeah.
Wow, that's quite the woman you got yourself there. Say it again. They're made out of cartilage.
This is a comment.
Dick joke?
It says 5 stars, 4 exclamation points. Is Forrest slowly turning into Mike Ditka? That was when you had your mustache week.
Yeah.
And then Jack, shut up. Kelly, you're awesome. We need more Luis. We love Jim.
All right. We need more Luis.
Yeah, we got enough Luis. It's fine.
He said about 5 sentences in 45 episodes. And they're like, we like the cut of his jib.
Yeah. We want to hear about that Fanta ketchup.
Oh, yeah, they must have been excited when they heard about the Fanta ketchup. You know what I did when I went home? I got myself some ketchup and some Fanta, and I didn't try it.
Because it's stupid.
It's stupid. I didn't want to fucking do the dishes afterwards. Like, fuck that. I'll just eat them separately. What I did was, in all reality, I squirted some ketchup in my mouth, then I drank some Fanta and switched it around. Got the same effect.
Mouthwash.
So people really liked your mustache, Forrest.
Oh, yeah?
People said Forrest 80s Cop Stash needs its own podcast called The Upper Lip.
Should do the limit.
High ratings.
Forrest Mario Shaw.
Yep.
And
that was Bianca. Bianca wanted me to do a mustache. I did it for her.
I've always wanted to write a crime series where my right leg and my left leg were 2 detectives. Right?
What?
This is like an idea, like sort of like a cartoon idea,
Let's
right?
hear some more.
Right? Yeah, my right leg, who was really like, he was the cop who knew how to do everything. He could kick a ball. He could do anything. He's the right leg. He's good to hop on. He's reliable. Right leg. He goes rogue. Right leg. And then left leg comes up and goes, I'm here too. Left leg. He falls over all the time. Can't kick anything. He's only good for stabilizing.
And this pesky torso that gets in the way.
Yeah. And they solve crimes together.
What kind of crimes?
Shoe-related things.
All shoe-related?
Yeah. Was it?
I'm missing a shoe. Have you looked in the power lines?
Yeah. The mystery of the missing sock.
That one will never be solved. Yeah.
People were asking what dog Kelly was holding.
That's Arnie.
That's Arnie.
He's right down here.
I thought they saw the picture of me curled up crying in a lap.
Just petting you. It's okay, Jim.
He's right down here. I'm not going to pick him up. He's right down there.
He's
That's
happy,
Arnie.
he's
He's
happy,
a
yes.
rescue dog. I just got him a couple months ago.
Forrest rescued him.
Yeah.
You could make a movie out of it. It was dramatic. He was held in a tower and
The flood.
he had to beat off all these mafia people to rescue him.
Yeah,
It's like The Blind Side, but he rescued a dog.
I was like taken. I was like,
Okay.
I picked up a cell phone and I just heard barking and I was like, I don't have a specific set of skills.
I have a specific set of skills that aren't useful right now.
What I do have is a car and I can get the Santa Clarita to the rescue.
And if you want to know the best sandwich places across America, I'm your guy.
That's Arnie. He's a good boy. Yeah.
Someone said, first time ever watching the podcast. Everyone looks worse than they sound.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, we do. We do.
Yeah.
We sound great.
Picking on Jack is an easy target. Yeah. And then
Yeah.
someone commented,
We're not after hard targets.
Yeah.
Jack's starting to look like them. Go back to the start. He was fairly svelte, which I don't think is true. I don't think I've ever been svelte.
There was one time I was in Asia and I bumped into, we were in Hong Kong and we were filming a bit on shark fins. And we bumped into someone who was a gay guy who we knew vaguely. There was a comic. Do you remember this?
We had met him the night before. He was a comedian, yeah.
Yeah, met him the night before. Yeah, we met him the night before.
Yeah, he was a comedian. He was a comedian in Hong Kong, yeah.
And he was a gay guy. And
was he?
well, he must have been because
you sucked his dick.
This is how the story goes. So I'm standing next to him and he goes, who's that really good looking guy walking down the street? And I turned to look because I like the see what I have to compete against in society. And so I turned around and I went, that's Jack.
I don't know this story.
And it was like from a distance and he was like, that guy's really handsome. And I was like this, Jack.
You're cockblocking Jack.
Yeah. I was like, Jack.
I remember this now. I forgot about that. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I guess maybe he wasn't gay. Maybe he just likes.
Maybe he just likes the male form and all of the human body in all its forms.
Yeah. Well, anyways, Jack, off to Hong Kong. You still
All
live
right,
there.
I'm going back.
Yeah.
Someone commented, furry bucket hats, ill-fitting pants. Careful, you're turning into Fred Durst.
Yep, that's fair.
That went
That's
over
the
my
goal.
head. Don't understand that reference.
That's Limp Bizkit.
Yeah, Fred Durst, man.
He's the lead singer.
singer of Limp Bizkit.
Limp Bizkit.
You never heard
And
of
he used to
Limp?
wear a lot of
I know
fuzzy
Limp
bucket
Bizkit.
hats.
Yeah.
I know of a concept. I don't know what they look like, or he looks
You know
like.
the concept of Limp Bizkit? Yeah.
I know it's a band.
I used to have a joke about jizzing on biscuits in private
Yeah,
schools. I got to bring that back. I never recorded that. That's good. That was a good bit.
Ooh, a Comet World was all worth it.
Yeah.
Man.
It was like, you know, they all have to come on a biscuit and then the last person eats it, right?
Well, no, it's a thing.
The person who doesn't come, the person who comes last is
you're in
meant
the
to eat
middle
it.
of the explanation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're like, you know how they all do this? And you're like,
No, it's
Just
like
talking about what, middle
it
school?
might be an urban myth or happen
Yeah.
in private schools or something
Soggy
like that.
biscuit or something like
They
that,
call
yeah.
it soggy sayo in Australia, like that. And it's like I reckon the guy who should eat it should be the person who comes first. He was obviously the one who suggested the game. it's very clear. Like he's like, hey, we all got to come on a biscuit. Whoever comes last, and he's like, there I go. I came. Look at all you gay fellas. You all enjoyed that. You enjoyed watching me come on the biscuit. I just came again.
That is true. Yeah, the rules should be changed.
Yeah,
That's
whoever
probably
comes first has to eat it. Like it might be a very long game.
Yeah.
It goes on for days. It's like cricket. A guy named Jason wrote in the comments, hey, Jim, I was roommates with your buddy Dan Backetall for a couple years in college.
Oh,
Love your stuff.
he's a good guy, Dan Backetall. He's my good friend, Dan Backetall. Yeah, he's doing well, I assume. He's been locked in for COVID. I haven't seen him all COVID. I've been ringing him up and checking on him, but he's locked in. He's locked in for COVID.
People were giving a bunch of vegan alternatives to leather and handbags. There's one called Deadly Ponies in New Zealand.
Yeah,
that sounds like a vegan name.
That's a good name. Pony skin.
And I guess it's a New Zealand company, but they make the leather from cacti from Mexico.
Right, that
Sounds
seems
like a lot of travel.
like a good business plan. We have our production here, and we import the cactus. This is an environmental nightmare. By the time they fly it all
It's
over,
vegan, but its carbon footprint is massive.
it's carbon footprints through the fucking roof.
What the fuck is that?
There's another cacti one called Deserto.
Yeah.
Well,
Which I don't know where that one's based, but I assume it's closer to Mexico.
In the desert. It's
Antarctica.
actually Deserto.
Deserto.
The Antarctica, that one is. Did you find the comment that someone said about Richard Dawkins' dinner party fact?
The one that was really angry about it?
Yeah. He basically was saying, who came up with this bullshit? Like, I guess he didn't listen that it was Richard Dawkins. So this guy apparently thinks he's smarter than Richard Dawkins.
Yeah, I
So-
just ignored it because it was stupid.
Yeah, well, that guy's an idiot out there. Just, I didn't take a deep dive.
Someone wants to know about your tattoos, Kelly.
I have them.
All right, moving on.
Yeah. Kelly's a pass-out drunk tattoo person. Wakes up with one in the morning. What is the one with the pirate on the side or whatever? It's a sailor.
It's a cat. Yeah, it's like a captain with a mermaid on it, and I named him Captain Crunch because I had always joked around that I was going to get Captain Crunch tattoo.
I like
So I
that
got
one.
one.
That's my
Thanks.
favorite one of all your
Thanks.
tattoos.
You haven't seen the one inside my asshole.
Wow.
It's beautiful. I'm just
You
kidding.
got one inside your asshole?
No, I'm just kidding.
It must have been hard to
It's
do.
close.
Must have taken a special pen.
Special man.
Last question. Someone wanted to know what our favorite episode is of our podcast.
Oh.
It's a hard one. It's a good question.
Still cheese for me because I got to eat that day.
Yeah, cheese is great, but bees was great too.
Bees is good.
Bees is a good episode.
Bees didn't rate that well.
Cryptocurrency.
because it was early on.
My favorite's
Astrology.
astrology.
I loved dreams.
Astrology actually did pretty all right in the numbers. It did
Yeah.
all right. Not good on YouTube, but it did all right in the downloads. It did quite remarkably well in the downloads.
I don't remember which one. The dream. I don't like dreams, and the dreams
Dreams
one was
is a
pretty
good one.
good. So,
Dreams
and I'm
is
like
really
an anti-dreams guy, but I was like, all right, maybe I'll. I bought his book.
Anti-dreams.
I'm
guy.
always like, I don't want to hear about your dreams. You
Yeah,
know this.
I know, I
You
know.
know this.
I know.
You know this. But I bought his book.
Jay Leno was good with the cars. I didn't know much
Leno.
about cars
Yeah.
going in.
Yeah.
Alcohol was a fun one,
Alcohol was
obviously.
good.
Didn't learn anything.
We killed Jim.
That's our two highest rated are alcohol and Jay Leno.
Yeah.
I think there's a theme.
And alcohol didn't have a guest.
Nope.
The
No.
guest was all the bottles of alcohol.
Yeah, that one does very well. It's like when we can look on these little data sheets, you can see which one's got the most downloads and that type of stuff. And every week it gets a few thousand people listen to it. Every week, even after it's like a year old.
I
think
would
people
assume
just
that's
wanna-
like probably the first one that people would watch if they looked through the list.
People just want to see
You
someone
drunk.
drinking,
Yeah.
But you're not going to learn a lot from that one. Just look some shit up.
Yeah, you'll learn all the different names of alcohol, I suppose.
How beer was made or ingredients or something. I don't know. I don't remember what I even looked up.
Yeah, you learnt very little.
Yeah.
All right, that's
All
it for
right.
Comment
That's it.
World.
That's
All right,
comment.
let's-
Well, let's start with this podcast. But first, a word from our sponsors. Hi, I'm a sponsor. My word of the day. Food, pretty nice food. Give me some sausage and pies. I had to change the lyrics. We don't have the rights to that song from Oliver. I love food, and I love food when it comes to me. All right? When I'm just sitting around and someone just hands it to me. I hate cooking. Unless we're advertising something else, then I love cooking.
What is this? Is this cooking?
No, this isn't. This is
Okay.
Postmates. Although they can bring you food that you can cook at home if
True.
you're that way inclined. With Postmates, you get food delivered without leaving your house. You just sit in your house. Probably you can get it to your office without leaving your office.
You can.
Anything that has an address, you can do. So if you're listening to a podcast and you're in a tent underneath a bypass, I'm sorry your life's gone that way, but we can't help
I think
you.
you could still get Postmates, probably.
Probably meet me on the corner of blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah, and blah, 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 and I'll stand there. Without even opening your door. With the current state of the world in mind, Postmates created no contact deliveries. They created that. That must have been a hard day in the office for Postmates. Hey, well, how can we make it no contact? Oh, you could just leave it on the door. Oh, you get a raise, Jerry. Good work. We're all done with the marketing. The no contact list is so now when I order food from local restaurants, everything gets left on my doorstep and the app lets me know when it's been delivered. Plus, I peer through the window. And I'm just
Creepily.
going, oh, yeah, who's bloody bringing me food? Oh, yeah, look at that.
Leave it there.
Yeah. And then I yell through the door, I'm a minor celebrity. I don't want you to know who I am. And then they yell back, your voice is very distinctive. Postmates also offers a pickup shop option, which I've been using to take out orders from my local restaurants. So sometimes the delivery's too far away, or sometimes I'm driving on the way home, want to save myself a bit of money. I use the pickup option. I do that. It's not just me bullshitting you right now on the podcast. It's so important that we support and uplift our communities right now. And what better way than ordering food? I can't think of a better way. That's why I never go to any of these protests or marches. I'm too busy ordering food and helping my community. And Postmates isn't all just burgers and sushi. Oh, no, it's got everything between. Sushi burgers. I can order anything from toilet paper to phone chargers to paper that would clean a phone chargers from stores like Walgreens and 7-Eleven. And a Postmates will drop it right off outside my front door. Just download Postmates on iOS or Android. You one of those people? There you go. Well, you do. You deserve food as well. Find your favorites and get anything you want delivered within an hour. For a limited time, Postmates is giving our listeners $5 off your first 5 orders. That's $25 if you're shitty at the maths. For the first 7 days. So that's a whole week. You save $25. Save $5 off your first 5 deliveries. Download the app and use the code IDK. That's code IDK for $5 off your first 5 orders when you download the Postmates app and sign up online. Anything you need, anytime you need it, Postmates. If something is interfering with your happiness or is preventing you from achieving your goals, Forrest,
What?
BetterHelp. I was joking. You only help me with my happiness and my goals. BetterHelp will assess your needs and match you with your own licensed professional therapist. Look, I'm a big fan of therapy. I found mental health to be very hard during the COVID, and I've had me ups and me downs, and I've been doing therapy online, and it's been a big help to me. You can start communicating in under 48 hours. It is not a crisis line. It's not self-help. It's professional counseling done securely online. There is a broad range of expertise available, which may not be locally available in many areas. The service is available for clients worldwide. So wherever you are, you're in Alaska, you're not getting your butcher box, you're unhappy, you want to have some therapy, the service is available for clients worldwide. You can log into your account anytime and send a message to your counselor. You'll get a timely, thoughtful response. Plus, you can schedule weekly video or phone sessions. Or you don't even have to leave your house. You won't have to sit in an uncomfortable waiting room, waiting for the person to come in, sitting looking over at the other person going, I wonder what Jack's here for. And as with traditional therapy, BetterHelp is committed to facilitating great therapeutic matches so they can make it easy and free to change counselors if needed. It's more affordable than traditional offline counseling, and financial aid is available.
That's good.
So I don't know how to get that, but it's available. If you're struggling out there, look into it. BetterHelp wants you to start living a happier life today. Visit betterhelp.com/IDK. That's better, HELP, and join the over 1 million people who have taken charge of their mental health with the help of an experienced professional. In fact, so many people have been using BetterHelp that they are recruiting additional counselors in all 50 states. This podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp, and the I Don't Know About That listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/IDK.
All right, please welcome our guest this week, Jason Concepcion.
G'day, Jason.
Hello.
Thanks for being on the show. We're now going to do a segment we call Judging a Book by its Cover.
Yes, though. Yes, though. Yes, though.
We have a theme song.
Judging a book by its cover.
We have a theme
Yeah.
song.
All right.
Okay.
So I
might ask you some yes or no questions.
don't need anything.
Okay.
I don't need any questions.
Yeah,
I already
just gonna
know.
make a guess.
I
You
already know what his specialty is.
Yeah.
What?
what-
He's a fucking samurai, man. He's got a samurai sword behind him. I'm so happy. I've been wanting to do samurai since we've started this podcast.
First of all, I think it's like a Game of Thrones style sword. But
It is a game of it's a broadsword.
there's a broadsword
wow.
thing. There's also looks like there's an Emmy back there.
Oh, there is an Emmy, and the sword's
There is an
above
Emmy.
it. The
I'm
sword
giving you
of
hints.
Emily's.
Yeah. That's John Stark.
Okay, so you've got an Emmy, or you've stolen an Emmy.
That's. I think, but I have an Emmy, and I would consider myself to have stolen it. But I also it's a sports Emmy, if that's a hint.
Aha!
So it's not that cool.
All right, so sports Emmy. So would it be? So do you? Okay, so you work in. Do you work in television?
Sort of. I work in media.
Okay, all right, media. Yeah, I guess I work in media of sorts.
Do you?
I have done. So is your job sport related?
Yes.
Okay. Is your job a sport that I would have participated in? I know you don't know me, but like just looking at me, is this a thing?
Maybe at one time. I think this is the kind of sport that everybody has participated in at one time or another.
Oh, right. Everyone's had a go at it.
Yeah, you participated in this. You want another hint?
Oh, it's basketball.
Well, why
There
did you
it
say
is.
it's basketball? It is basketball. The NBA. We're going to talk about the
Yeah,
NBA.
it's basketball. Do you want to know why? Because Forrest went, do you want a hint? I beat Forrest at horse once. and it plays on his mind because I'm what you call uncoordinated.
It's terrible.
I'm terrible at things. The way you,
It's already frustrating.
the way you beat Forrest at for horse is this: underarm,
Two-hand underarm.
two-hand underarm. It's a hole in his game.
That's not how you shoot basketball.
It's how I shoot it.
It's how you win the game.
It's how you win the game. You got to find out the weakness of your opponent.
Sometimes as I'm going to sleep, I can hear Jim in my head going, underarm, off the
We
backboard.
made a video. We made a horse video, and it's out there somewhere.
Yeah, it's on the
This.
Facebook
Forrest
page.
is like 3-point shot, turn around, swivel, and I'm like, I can't get those, but sometimes he misses those, and then I get right next to the hoop, underarm.
Okay, but so Jason, what happened is this was filmed and then put on the internet, and then everyone thinks Jim is better. So I practiced that dumb shot that you did till I had it down, and then I beat you every time after that. Not filmed. It's
Not
on the internet.
on film.
Yeah,
Not on film.
yeah.
Not on film.
Not
Didn't
on
happen.
film. Yeah, no evidence of that.
Okay, sorry, it didn't happen.
Let me properly introduce Jason. Jason is a writer, editor, gamer. It says reader too. That was in your bio. Reader. An NBA superfan who is best known for creating and hosting the Emmy Award-winning digital series NBA Desktop. Jason began his writing and commentary career at Grantland. He has recently launched 2 new projects with Crooked Media, the podcast Takeline and a weekly video series, All Caps NBA. If you want to tell us a little bit about those 2
Sure.
shows.
Takeline is a podcast about sports. It's hosted by myself and 2-time WNBA champion Renee Montgomery. We are going to explore sports and the kind of intersections of labor issues, racial justice, social justice, and politics that kind of intertwine with sports. So it's going to do all the things a sports show does, but we're going to lean into issues that maybe other sports shows wouldn't necessarily talk about. And then All Caps is it's a comedic look at the NBA and sports in general through the lens of the internet. So my elevator pitch for it when I'm trying to explain to people what it is it's like The Soup, but if the soup was done on your phone.
Okay. Sounds good. And so by the time this one right here comes out, both these shows will be going. So check those out. All right. And what we're going to do now is I'm going to ask Jim everything he thinks he knows about the NBA. I'm going to ask him some questions.
So we're not doing basketball, we're doing the NBA, not like
well,
the history
we'll do a little bit of basketball too, but yeah. I mean, a little bit of where it started kind of thing. And then Jason, you're going to grade him at the end of this. Like it's going to take about like 5 to 10 minutes. You're going to grade him 0 through 10, 10 being the best on his accuracy. Kelly's going to grade him on confidence. Sure. I'm going to grade him on et cetera. I usually have some categories, but I don't.
That's all right.
Okay.
You just do it in heights. So I'm Matumbo down to Bugsy Modes.
Oh, wow, you already got some stuff. All right. Got some knowledge.
It's
Muggsy
Bogues, but I do
Bugsy
like
Mogues.
I actually like Bugsy Mogues better.
Bugsy Mogues a gangster.
Hey, Bugsy Mogues.
He's in the mafia for sure.
Okay.
Muggsy Bogues. I was just showing Jack Muggsy Bogues the other day. True. I was just the other day.
You keep him at your house? What do you mean you were showing
No,
him?
I was on the internet showing him. I was like, there was a short fellow who played in the NBA, and Jack had never heard of him. So, I watched the NBA in the 90s. 90s when it sort of got a little popular in Australia. And, you know, I know I could probably name you most of the Australian players, and I'm a Clippers supporter. So, you know, and I support the Clippers for one reason alone. When I first got here, the same reason I support Fulham. The Lakers were too expensive. I go to whatever was the cheapest ticket. I didn't have a pot to piss in when I came to America. And the Clippers I could get into for $20 and sit up the back. And I thought, all right, well, I support the Clippers.
Balling on a budget.
Yeah. Well, they got a shot this year, so we'll see. Well, do you know when basketball was invented and by who?
I know it was invented by a Canadian. I've forgotten the name of the guy. I've seen a 30 for 30 documentary. I believe he was teaching in Kansas at the time. I think it was in Kansas by a Canadian. I might be right on that. Okay. And it was originally with peach baskets, and it was so in winter they could play an indoor sport.
You don't know what year?
Maybe he was in Canada when he was doing, because it was the snow and all that. Oh, it snows in Kansas. I'm going to say, give it 100 years.
100 years ago. Okay.
1920.
Do you know when the NBA started?
I think the NBA in its, like, I believe there was 2 leagues or something like that, and then they meshed together to make the NBA. And most of my knowledge of this is coming from the movie Semi-Pro with Will Ferrell. So I'm going to say it was the 70s.
70s.
The early 70s.
Okay. And you know what the original name of the NBA was?
Or? National Basketball Association. Well, it had to always be. If the NBA only started when the NBA started. If you wanted to call it something like that, like Hoopy Hoopy Jump Jump, all right, right? It was before that.
Okay. Right? Finding a loophole here. It's the same league.
Yeah,
still,
same league. But when it was called the NBA, that's when it happened.
Okay. In the United States, how does the NBA rank among other sports and then also in the world?
I believe that the NBA is the second most popular sport in America next to football. I think football rates higher. I believe that basketball is the third most popular sport in the world. I believe it goes soccer, cricket, then basketball. And I think basketball may have just taken over cricket, maybe just have taken over cricket, but cricket gets the second most popular sport in the world because of India. You have 1 billion people playing. They only care about one sport. Okay. And so that's where that statistic's a little bit skewed.
Okay. What team has the most NBA titles?
I believe it's the Lakers.
You know how many? Or
I think it's probably 13 or something like that. Oh, no, wait a minute. It's more than that. It's more than that. They've had, like, since I've lived here for 13 years, they've had 2. And then they had that whole, like, the Shaq and then the Kobe and then the Magic and the Kareem and all that type of stuff. I'll go 17.
Okay. And then do you know who has the most MVPs?
I'll say Michael Jordan has the most MVPs.
Okay.
That might be a trick question. But it'll either be Michael Jordan, or it could be Kobe. No, I think it's Michael Jordan. And like because Magic Johnson's career was cut short, so I'm going to count him out. Okay, so the person who scored the most points ever is Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and I know that because I interviewed him.
And you played basketball with him.
I've played basketball with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. He looked at me like I was a moron.
The videos of you doing the hook shot, it's just like the most uncoordinated basketball I've ever seen. It's so good.
He's an extremely nice man.
Yes.
Exceedingly nice man. I would say Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Maybe Kareem's the one with Wilt Chamberlain might be a runner for the most.
He had sex with the most women. Maybe that's what you're thinking.
Yeah, but that's what I'd give awards to.
MVP. Come
on. Okay, so there are some NBA teams that have not won the title.
Yeah.
Do you know how many there are, or can you name like 4 and see if you know how many there are?
Okay, the Clippers have never won. The Phoenix Suns have never won one. I'm going to say the Pelicans, since they've had the name the Pelicans, have not won one. New Orleans Pelicans.
Yeah.
Let me think. The Seattle Supersonics never won one, but they're no longer in the league. I'm going to also say I'm sure the Knicks must have won one, but they feel like they've been a perennial sort of loser team.
I think Jason's a big Knicks fan.
That's his team.
Yeah.
Unfortunate.
Yeah, but
it's absolutely true.
Yeah, but
so you're saying they have won one?
I think maybe way back in the day, but not in recent history. But I don't have any proof of any of that.
You don't have any proof on you?
Yeah. And then I'll say, give me another team that's sort of like where I'll go, oh, they wouldn't have bloody won the bloody blah, blah, blahs. I'm going to say.
The Bucks one?
Yeah, Milwaukee Bucks. No, I believe the Milwaukee Bucks were a force back in the day because they talk about like in The Last Dance, how many, maybe the Indiana Pacers haven't won one?
Pacers. All right.
I don't know if the Hawks have ever won anything.
The Atlanta Hawks.
Yeah. Okay. That was my team growing up. All right. So all-time leading scorer you said was Kareem, right?
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is the all-time leading scorer.
What about rebounder?
The all-time leading rebounder. See, okay, because I could say Dennis Rodman was really good at rebounding and all that sort of stuff, but he wasn't super tall, I think, and he didn't have an extraordinarily long career because he was a bit of a fuck-up. So I'm going to say the best rebounder of all, statistically the best I'll say Wilt Chamberlain, the rebounder.
Okay, and what about three-point shots? Who's made the most?
The most three-point shots, Steve Nash.
Nash.
That's probably wrong.
That is wrong. I don't know the answer to all these, but I know Steve Nash is not the all-time leading three-point.
All right, Steph Curry.
No, that's a better answer.
But he's still playing.
It's a better answer.
But maybe by the end of his career, Steph Curry.
That's a good bet, probably. Yeah. So,
yeah.
Has anyone ever scored more than 70 points?
Yes. There was an 80-point game by Kobe Bryant.
Anyone more? And was that the highest ever?
Yes.
Okay. Tallest player ever and shortest player ever.
Muggsy Bogues.
Bugsy Muggs
is the
Bugsy Mogues.
Bugsy Muggs is the tallest player ever.
Yeah, he's the tallest. Okay. Do you know how short he was, Muggsy?
He was 5'3".
Okay, and then tallest ever.
The tallest ever. Oh God. It might not be a guy who was very good. It might just be a bloke who sort of.
He's pretty famous. I think his son's playing either in college or he might be in the. I forget now, but he's not the best player ever. No, but he's still he was a cult favorite.
Yeah, so it's not Shaquille O'Neal. Yeah, he'd probably be the weight. He'd be the heaviest.
Yeah, right now.
Okay. I'll say Ronnie Cycli.
Cycli. Okay. Definitely not.
Ronnie Cycli used to date my son's mother.
Yeah.
That's the reason I know.
Yeah. Hot take. Now he's a DJ. Of these players, who was not the number one overall pick in the draft? Ready? I'm gonna give you multiple choice. Okay. Shaquille O'Neal, Andrew Wiggins, Kobe Bryant, or Mark Aguirre.
Mark McGuire played baseball.
No,
for
Mark Aguirre.
Trick question.
Steroids.
Okay, well, so
Shaq.
I know Michael Jordan was number one because that's always like.
No, I didn't say Michael Jordan. Shaq, Andrew Wiggins, Kobe Bryant, or Mark Aguirre.
Shaq would have been because I remember when he was drafted.
Okay,
and it wasn't Andrew Bogart who was number one from Australia. Thank you very much, Bogues.
Okay. Yeah, he did a great career.
Yeah, great career.
Yeah.
Me and him write to each other on the Twitter.
Okay.
Hello, really?
Yeah. We know each other on the Twitter. We've never met. One time I was in Sydney before he was back playing for the Sydney Kings for a while, and he goes, "I'd really like to see your show sometime." And so I knew I was in town, so I go, "Hey, why don't you come to the gig?" And he's like, "I can't. I've got a basketball game." I was like, loser. Like it's only the Sydney Kings. Surely you can call in sick.
Okay, so Shaq is number one. Andrew Wiggins, Kobe Bryant,
Andrew Wiggins.
Okay, Wiggins. Okay.
The reason why I said that is because you put him second and you wanted to duck him in there.
Sure. Okay, I'm just going to ask you a couple questions, see if you know anything. Do you know what the Malice at the Palace is?
I have no idea.
Okay, I'm going to guess.
The Malice at the Palace. Okay, so the Malice.
No, you don't have to guess.
You're just going to improv.
It rhymes. Do you know who Tim Donaghy is?
It's Tim Duncan's original name before he got the stage name.
Duncan was a state because he was dunking.
Yeah, he's Duncan.
Okay. What about
Tim Duncan might have gotten the most rebounds.
what about Donald Sterling?
Donald Sterling was the owner of the Clippers and just a misunderstood man.
Okay. He's
a terrible person.
There's a couple other questions here, but we'll just ask one more thing, and then we'll start talking to Jason. Who did not play in the NBA of these names? God Shamgod, Fat Lever, Carlos Boozer, Uwe Blob, Tree Rollins, or Rick Smith?
I think Carlos Boozer. I think Boozer was the name of the guy. Oh, no, that was Bozy. Rick Smith. Fuck it, Rick Smith never played.
Rick Smith. Wow. Okay.
That's the wrong answer. Carlos Boozer.
I just want to tell you, I made that list and I put Rick Smith. That was the right answer. Then you get.
Oh, Rick Smith.
Okay, Jason, thanks for waiting there patiently. On a scale of 0 to 10, how did Jim do? 10 being the best on his knowledge of what we asked.
Jim did pretty well. I'd put it at a 6.
Yeah.
A soft 6, like a hard 5.5, but like a soft 6.
We'll take the 6.
Soft 6. How do you do in confidence, Kelly?
I would give him a 7 on confidence. Okay. I was surprised that you knew as much as you did.
All right.
I watch sports.
Okay, so that's a total of...
I mean, every week I'm surprised that you know as much as you do about any given topic.
I think I would do better at baseball. Basketball's like my, fourth sport.
Yeah, we'll do baseball eventually. So that's 13. I'm going to give you 17, so you get the 30.
All right.
And that means your minute bowl.
Okay.
Don't even know what that means, do you? Okay.
Is ButcherBox. ButcherBox helps you make meals moments, makes your mealtime moments feel special year round. Each month, I do actually like the ButcherBox. The ButcherBox sent me the ButcherBox food. It was the
meats are good,
quite nice,
good grass-fed
best
stuff.
filet I've ever had.
Oh, lovely! Each month they send you a box of the highest quality meat and a handbag for your wife. For a better price than the grocery store, giving you more time to spend cooking and sharing delicious, high-quality meals with family and friends. I've tried a few of these different meat delivery companies. I won't say the names of the other companies over the years because I find it hard to find the grass-fed stuff. ButcherBox, number one.
Yep.
No, number one. Each month, ButcherBox shifts a curated selection of high-quality meats right to my home. Not like those other companies that send them a few doors down.
A couple blocks away.
Yeah,
hey, you got my meat.
Yeah.
It's tricky.
I want my meat. All meat is free of antibiotics and added hormones. They've just got Each box has about 10 pounds of meat, enough for 24 individual meals.
Or one for you.
Or one for me. One sandwich. It's called my triple meat sandwich. Packed fresh, shipped frozen, and vacuum sealed so it stays that way. I can customize my box or go with one of theirs. Either way, I get exactly what I want. ButcherBox is a no-brainer. So even if you're a simpleton moron, right, you're at home and you've had a lobotomy and you're like this, like that, ButcherBox, no-brainer. It's the best meat shipped right to your door, which means one less trip to the grocers. One less trip. Options like 100% grass-fed and finished beef, free organic chicken. See, with my son, I don't want to feed him shit, but he wants to have chicken nuggets and all that type of stuff. So I get the ButcherBox chicken, right, which is free range. Chicken had a good life, and I feel less bad about it. Heritage pork and wild-caught Alaskan salmon, because you don't want the bloody fish, the non-caught wild stuff. That's no good, the farm.
Live in prison.
And sugar nitrate-free bacon. Don't want the nitrates. That gives you the cancer and all type of stuff. No good. It's the way meat should be. ButcherBox is the most affordable and convenient way to get healthy, humanely raised meat. With ButcherBox, you get the highest quality meat around just $6 a meal. $6 a meal. You can go to fucking some shitty fast food place, fill yourself full of chemicals and fucking corn-fed beef and pay the same amount of money, or you can get the good quality stuff into you, live a bit longer, and have a better meal. And they even have free shipping nationwide except Alaska and Hawaii. They don't get free shipping, not even for the fucking salmon.
It's like the cactus purse.
Hey, you think the wild caught Alaskan salmon, they'd give them some type of a deal on. Okay, right now, ButcherBox is offering new members ground beef for life. That's 2 pounds of ground beef in every box for the life of their subscription. Just go to butcherbox.com/IDK. That's butcherbox.com/IDK. So these other companies are going to give you 10% off, 20% off, whatever. There's free packaging, whatever. They're giving you something physical here. 2 pounds of ground beef.
It's a good deal.
2 pounds of ground beef. Yeah, well, you can make lots of things with those hamburgers and other things.
Meatloaf.
And
you can always pause your membership. You can skip a month or push it out a month. So if you still have extra stuff.
Bolognese, sloppy joes.
I'm
Neat
hungry.
Joe's. You ever had a Neat Joe?
What's a neat Joe?
It's like a sloppy Joe, but it's neater.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Still
Not
tasty.
not as good.
All right, Jason. So I guess I know some of these, but I don't know a lot of them. Like basketball. Do we know when that was invented and by whom and that?
Yeah, that was Jim had it right that it was a Canadian gentleman, Canadian-American gentleman, Dr. James Naismith. He was an educator at the Young Men's Christian Association. Yes, in Springfield, Massachusetts. And you had the context correct. He had a lot of rowdy young men who were locked indoors in the midst of winter, and they were getting starting fights and stuff. And he needed some way to focus their attentions to do something that wasn't violent. And so he created this game of basketball that was supposed to be no contact. He hung the peach baskets up, and that's where we started.
Oh, so it was no contact, right? Because it's a contact sport now. I mean, I would consider it. But.
Well, it's like soccer in the sense that there's contact, but there's a level of contact that would then draw a foul. Yeah. So they're legislating the contact. It's not a full contact sport like rugby or like the NFL.
Sure. That would have been like dumb with the peach baskets. Like, how many years do they play without cutting the hole in the basket?
You'll get mad when somebody scores a basket.
It was for a while. They used to get a broomstick and pop it back out. 2 points. And if it bounced out of the basket, if it went in and bounced out, did the points still count?
It still counted if it went in. Well, it depends. It has to settle in. But if it bounced out, it's a good question. If it bounced out right away, if it went to the bottom, it would stay. But if it rolled around the top or went halfway down and then popped out, it would not count. Now, this was long before the shot clock. And at that time, basketball was a lot like soccer/football in the sense that you had scores that were like 6-5, 6-4. There's a lot of passing around before somebody would get the opportunity to try and score.
So I assume before they cut the bottom out of the basket, the word swish didn't exist. And so it'd be like, look at that shot, clunk.
Well, here's one. Do you know how wide the hoop is now in the NBA?
It's smaller than a basketball.
Wait, smaller?
That's how good they are. Okay, so let me think. I'm gonna.
What's he doing this every?
Every time he measures or counts anything, it's my favorite.
20 inches wide.
Yeah, I don't know inches. I just know like a thing like that you say like is. I thought it was 2 basketballs. I thought it was 2 basketballs wide. That's what I thought.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's 2 basketballs, essentially. I don't know the measurements, but it's 2 basketballs.
Wait, I thought this guy was a specialist.
He only knows units of measurement in basketball.
Yeah. The Earth is 1,000 basketballs. Actually, that's bigger than that, surely.
When did
Maybe not.
When did the NBA start? You said the 70s, Jim, and you said it was. I think it was 2 leagues that were mashed together.
Well, was there a black league and a white league, and was it before Jackie Robinson when they brought it over, or was it always inclusive? What happened there?
It took a while for the sport to integrate. It started. Now you did have it right in the sense that there were 2 leagues that merged. There was the BAA, which is the Basketball Association of America, and they merged with the NBL, their rival National Basketball League. They did that in 1949 and rebranded themselves as the NBA going forward. But the NBA claims the history going all the way back to 1946 with the founding of the BAA. So they, in the NBA's view, they they claim the history of the Basketball Association of America, claiming that they are just an outgrowth of that organization, not a new organization after the merger. So you were several decades off. Now, the first black players started coming in the 50s. But of course, there weren't any hard rules like there were in baseball. But interesting fact is Japanese American was one of the first non-whites to break the color line in the NBA.
Oh, I'm going to change my tallest guy to the Houston Rockets Asian guy who was
Yao
really
Ming.
tall. Yao Ming.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So wait, the first there was a Japanese American, you said, or he's from Japan? Like, what was his name? I don't know that.
It was Watt Misaka.
Huh.
He played for the Knicks, actually.
Oh.
So why don't we hear about Jackie Robinson all the time? I'm a big baseball fan, and we know the impact of having Jackie Robinson join the baseball leagues and all that sort of stuff. Why isn't there more, for lack of a better word, celebration of when basketball was integrated? Why is that?
That's a great question. That's a great question. There is within the sport and within the community that's grown up around the sport of basketball, but I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that for a lot of basketball's early history, going up to, like, say, the 1980s, it was a fringe sport. You know, boxing and horse racing were much more popular than basketball early on. So there just wasn't a lot of publicity or hype around the sport at all. You couldn't see it on TV. It was like barnstorming, kind of like tours that they were trying to build excitement around the league with, but there just wasn't a lot of tremendous excitement in the nation about pro basketball for a while.
That was a question I forgot to ask Jim, was like, when did NBA start becoming popular? In the 80s, right? That was
I think that's fair to say. You know, a lot of people say 79, 80. So 79, 80, Magic Johnson and Larry Bird come in. They had this storied college careers, each of them, and they were rivals in college. They played in one of the most famous national championship games ever. And they continued that rivalry in the NBA, Larry Bird with the Celtics, Magic Johnson with the Lakers. And, you know, it was like central casting is what you often hear people say when they talk about this rivalry. It's the Lakers versus the Celtics. First of all, already two of the most successful teams that had existed in the NBA, right? The Celtics dominated the early history of the NBA, and then the Lakers started to get really good in the late 60s. And the Celtics in those early years was always turning the Lakers back. So they had this existing rivalry. And then you have these two great players who had a rivalry in college, one black, one white, and it just became the kind of like pedestal upon which the NBA built their success that they have today. But before that, late 70s, like, you couldn't even really see the finals on television. It would be on tape delay. You couldn't see it live.
That's so crazy.
Even in the early years, the first couple of years when Magic and Bird were in the NBA, you still couldn't catch the games live. You could not catch the NBA Finals game live.
So before that, I imagine the money was rather small then for the players. Was it were they not being paid very much because it wasn't on television?
Certainly compared to, you know, what the salaries are today. I think, you know, Magic Johnson, you know, he was making like signing contracts that were worth like $3 million. I think that's basically 2 seasons at the league minimum right now. Is 2 years at league minimum is like over $3 million. So the money was a lot smaller. And the 80s success, David Stern, who was the commissioner that came in the early 80s, was kind of like a brilliant mind at marketing the game, at growing the game. And he used that, you know, the great narratives around Magic and Bird to hype up the game and get better TV contracts and do better marketing. And rising tide lifted all boats. And now we have salaries that are just astronomically huge.
Yeah. So that's amazing, because that's not even, it's like little, maybe 40 years ago. No, 40 years ago.
Yeah.
And then the next question is, where does basketball rank in the major sports? In the US, you said second. And then in the world, you said it might be second now ahead of cricket.
Yeah.
So I think
that's basically right. I mean, it depends on what metric you're going to use, right? So if you're saying popularity in the US, are we talking TV ratings? Are we talking something else? And TV ratings, the NBA is third behind football, which is like the leader in the clubhouse, big time. Then the MLB, then the NBA. The TV ratings have been a kind of contentious metric of late because of a lot of the social justice conversations that have popped up around sports. There's a lot of people who would argue that TV ratings are taking a dip because sports are getting too political. The NBA is always at the focus of that. But there was a 2017 poll that asked people what their favorite sport was, and NFL football, again, the number one favorite sport, but basketball was second. So it depends on the metric, but I think second or third is the right number. And then basketball is the most popular American sport internationally by far.
Oh, by a mile.
Yeah.
If you
by
talk,
a mile.
If you talk about when I was growing up in Australia, if you talk about famous American athletes, it was basketball players.
Yeah.
We knew of Joe Montana, we knew of him, but no one had a poster. But people they knew Michael Jordan. That's what we all.
Well, now it's like if whatever country you're from, there's a good chance there's a player playing in the NBA too. I mean, Australia, you actually have a chance to get a medal in the Olympics, maybe.
Well, I think we got a little bit screwed by COVID. I feel like some of our players might get too old or whatever. I don't know, but I think we're good for a silver or a bronze.
Well, you got Ben Simmons if he plays for you guys.
Ben Simmons. Well, we thought he was going to be better than he is. He's still very, very good, but we were talking like he would be the best player in the NBA when he first came out. He's going to be the best player. When Andrew Bogut got first draft pick, we were like, are we going to have the greatest center of all time? And then
Patty Mills is getting old.
Yeah. Still very good.
Yeah.
Patty Mills.
The bloke who plays for the Jazz, what's his name?
Joe Ingles.
Joe Ingles.
He's good.
Yeah, Joe Ingles contacted me for when I was playing Utah, which the gigs were cancelled. And he's like, why don't you come down and do a gig for the Jazz? And I was thought, this is good, bit of corporate money, right? Yeah. And it turns out he was asking for me to do it free during their training session.
I'll just come down to the practice. Tell some jokes.
A 3 p.m. show
it's like,
in a huddle.
Maybe he'd enjoy it, but I would embarrass him. Like, hey guys, there's an Australian bloke coming down to tell us a few gags while we're training, and all the coaches would have been like, what? There's a bloke. He does like offensive jokes, and he's going to talk to us during training. And so I think I said to him, I said, if you want a couple of tickets, man, come to the show if you want to come. But I'm not coming down to the Utah Jazz fucking training system. We went down. We met what's his name? Mark, the guy who owns the Dallas Mavericks.
Mark Cuban.
Mark Cuban. When I interviewed Mark
Cuban,
Cuban, we went down to the training facility there and we shot a few balls. Remember that? You there for that?
I wasn't there for that, no.
Oh no, I've played around in their training facilities. Very nice, very nice.
Underarm on the backboard.
Yeah, I was there. I was thinking, underarm.
Come on, Mark.
Come here, you dumb bomber bitch.
Luka Doncic?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. I don't think he was playing with him at that stage.
No, he wasn't there yet. That was 3 years ago.
But that's the only Mavs player that came to me mind then. I was like,
he's very good.
He's very good. He's a very good player.
Okay. Who has won the most NBA titles? Jim said the Lakers MVPs. He said Jordan. How's that?
I mean, you're close. I mean, so Lakers are tied with the Celtics for the most. Both have 17.
Well, I'll take
and
the
then,
win.
Oh, you said 17 though.
17.
Good job.
Yeah, so that's correct. And then you were
Bloody
so
hell,
close with
this is a fucking hard six, mate. Soft six my ass. I pulled bloody 17 out.
You were very close with the MVPs. You mentioned Kareem, but then you went away from him. It is Kareem with 6. Michael Jordan has 5. Bill Russell also has 5.
But isn't there a controversy? I'm not controversial, but so the Lakers won some of their titles when they were in what is it?
Minneapolis. Yeah.
So the Celtics will always be like, it's Minneapolis.
I mean, that is a thing that you hear bandied about, but it's also like, come on, like back in those days, it was like the players were doing this in their spare time, and then we go work at a shoe factory, during the day. So it's like. Let's just keep all the records and don't worry about it and don't go into it.
When I was kid growing up in Australia, my number one sport was rugby league, and I followed the North Sydney Bears, which no longer exist anymore. But I remember like when a player would score a try, this is how like small Australian sports were. And they still get paid way less than American athletes, right? But they're big stars in their own country. But there would be like someone would score a try and then it would list like their stats. Like after they score a try, they go, he's this age, he's got this many tries, and he works as a police officer.
Go get him.
There was literally blokes like bartender at the clubhouse.
He will serve you drinks after the game.
You could literally go see the players, like players you were fans of. You go there and you go, oh, fucking hell, there he is. And he'd have a little bow tie on and be pouring pints.
Incredible.
So I asked Jim what teams haven't won an NBA title. I don't know how many there are if you know the whole list. He said Clippers, Suns, Pelicans, Supersonics, Pacers.
Okay, so almost all right. The Supersonics are now the Oklahoma City Thunder, and they did win the title in 1979, famously, which is part of the reason why it's so heartbreaking for that community when the team was, in their view, stolen by the people who then moved it to Oklahoma City and renamed it the Thunder. But all the rest, correct. So it's the Phoenix Suns, the Clippers, the Jazz, the Denver Nuggets, Indiana Pacers, Brooklyn Nets, Minnesota Timberwolves, Magic, Charlotte Hornets, Memphis Grizzlies, and the Pelicans.
So a lot of the
only the Lakers and Celtics win, and sometimes the Bulls
the Heat,
in the 90s.
That's my team. For Miami, they have 3 titles, which I think makes them 6th or 7th on the list. They're not too bad.
The Heat win it
3 times.
Sacramento have a win every now and again.
Yeah.
When did the Hawks win?
The Hawks won in like 1957.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. You would have just been a young kid.
They
Jack.
never won as a kid.
Jack's from Atlanta, so he's like,
They beat the Celtics in like 1957.
when I was growing up, I grew up in Miami. We didn't have a team, and so I rooted for the Hawks. And Dominique Wilkins was my favorite player. And I had a poster of him on the back of my door. And he was such a good player. But what always got me is his shoes. He was sponsored by Brooks. I don't even know if Brooks exists anymore. But I was like, how is Adidas or Nike? He was like the best dunker, in my opinion. He got robbed.
He had that Brooks strength.
Yeah.
It was the shoes.
Couldn't have gotten a lot of money from Brooks. Okay. I asked you, all-time. Oh, we already did. All-time leading scorer, Kareem. Look at this. I'm sorry, we didn't finish this. Rebounder. He said Chamberlain.
That's correct.
Oh, wow.
It was soft 6. What the fuck?
All right.
Jim gets really offended by
Will
the score.
Chamberlain. Fucking Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I grew up in fucking Sydney, man.
Yeah, you got a lot of other ones
But
wrong,
then
though.
we find out that you're friends with Andrew Bogut and you shot around at the Mavericks facility.
Well, I'm not friends with Bogut. We talk occasionally on the twit.
I don't talk with Bogut. You're friends.
Yeah, Bogues. Yeah, my manager in Australia manages because comedy's not massive there. Well, it is big, but like he has to manage something besides comedians. So you know Andrew, Andrew, my manager in Australia. Andrew also manages Luke Longley.
Oh yeah.
For any of his public appearances. Luke was the first Australian in the NBA, and then we had. Let's see if you can. How many Australians can you name that were played in the NBA? Because I think I can beat you on this.
Oh, you probably can. Well, currently, let's see. There's Ben Simmons, Dellavedova, Delhi. Although he just retired.
Dellavedova, fucking yeah. You want to win a fucking championship with Cleveland? You got to have Dellavedova.
He I just retired, or is close to retirement because of concussions.
Oh.
But that's why
Aaron Baines?
we're getting fucked in the Olympics. We could have had Delhi out there.
Yeah.
Wait, who else?
Aaron Baines.
Oh yeah, he's pretty good. Yeah.
Dante Exum.
Dante Exum, very good.
Highly rated for a while there, but then injuries really slowed him. Josh Green.
Mm-hmm. Don't know that.
Now, this is a kind of a cheat, but Kyrie Irving was born in Australia, so he's dual citizenship.
And he still believes the fucking planet's flat.
He can hoop though. If you guys could convince him to
that's who you need to convince.
For Australia, for the Boomers.
Yeah, I think he was born.
Look out.
I think he was born in like Ben Simmons' father played in the Australian basketball league.
Oh.
And he was an American who played in the Australian basketball league. Then see what happens I'm going to list a couple of people before that, and I'm going to talk about this next thing. Okay, so here's ones you won't remember. Andrew Gaze.
Yes. Okay.
He's not in the NBA now, though.
Yeah, but
not in the NBA now.
but ever played in the NBA. Ever played in the NBA?
Yeah.
Because to start off, we had Luke Longley. Then Andrew Gaze, who had grey hair when he was born, right? Right? He came out, he could shoot threes, and I think he's the coach of the Australian basketball team or something like that, right? But he was a very good college player, I believe, out here.
Very good.
And he was like Australia's greatest player, Andrew Gaze. And then there was a guy called Shane Heal, who in the Barcelona Olympics went up against who's the guy? We met him in a bar once. He's Charles Barkley.
Oh.
Yeah, we met. I got a photo with Charles Barkley. This is another
Jim knows the entire NBA apparently. So. I once did a gig. Yeah, okay. Anyway, so Charles Barkley, he pushed Charles Barkley the other way, and he got a bit like that. And then he got signed for the NBA. He came out for maybe played 3 games in the NBA, shot like 4 threes, and that was his whole career. But then he became a commentator in Australia, and every time you talk to Shane Hill, he's like this. Yeah, like when I was playing in the NBA, it's like it was 4 games, calm down. Right? So there was Shane Hill, and then what happened after that. Now, in the Australian League, what happened was because what would have happened if we started our league, we would have had just all college players that didn't make the NBA, they would have come out to Australia. But we couldn't have a league like that because then it's not Australian players, it's just unsuccessful Americans playing in our league, right? So what we did was they made a rule where they could go, each team can have 2 imports. You can have 2 players from overseas. The rest of them have to be Australian citizens. Right? So every starting lineup was 3 white guys, 2 black guys from America. That was every starting lineup in the Australian League was that, right? So what would happen is if you had one of your imports and they'd come over and they were playing well, they tried to marry them off to Australian women as soon as possible. So because as soon as they got their citizenship in, they could get another bloke from America, right?
It's a solid plan, honestly.
And so like Ben Simmons' father was one of those guys. Like he came over as an import, married up, then they brought another bloke in from America, and we've got Ben Simmons now.
Wow.
So that's happened.
Look at that.
Basketball matchmakers.
We used to have a player for the Sydney Kings called Dwayne McLean, the D Train, who played in the NBA for a hot minute and then got injury. But we used to think he was Michael Jordan. Dwayne McLean, the D Train.
Yeah, rolls off the tongue.
And the NBL, the National Basketball League, Australian Pro League, has been getting stronger over the last few years. There's a lot of movement of ex-players from the NBA going to Australia to look to buy into a lot of the existing teams in the NBL. LaMelo Ball, who's probably going to win Rookie of the Year this year, played 12 games in the NBL rather than go to college. Yeah. So it's an up-and-coming league and certainly one of the stronger pro leagues in the world.
Yeah. That's Australia.
What about Kiwis? Any Kiwis in the NBA? Jim?
There'd be one bloke called the Big
Adams.
The Big Mountain.
Steve Adams. Yeah, that's Jason just said.
Steve Adams. Who does he play for?
He is currently playing for the Pelicans.
Right. Yeah, he's a big guy.
Yeah,
he's a big guy. He's a big guy.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Was Luke Longley any good?
Yeah, he was good. He was serviceable. I mean, he was out there starting for these Bulls teams that won titles. But he was not the focus of the play at all. His job was to rebound and play defense, and he did that quite capably.
He used to rebound, play defense, get 13 points every game. He used to catch it, pass it back out to Pippen or Jordan. But you can tell very clearly that he did not like Michael Jordan because he said it in certain interviews.
He didn't do the documentary.
He's the only person not to appear in The Last Dance, and he was he was the starting center.
Yeah,
and you can see in The Last Dance there's certain moments where Jordan's a bit of a prick to him. He just looks like a good game, Luke. Like that. Like there's one game where he says it and Luke's like, oh, this fucking guy. I felt for Luke Longley. He's the only person from his country to ever play at this level, and everyone's going, "You're shit."
Yeah. Most 3-pointers ever. You said Nash, then you changed the Curry. I don't actually know. I think I know who this is.
Clyde Drexler. How about that?
No, not at all. Ray Allen is the leader. With
Ray Allen.
With I think just like 30 or 20 short of 3,000. Steph will catch him eventually. So Steph is number 2 and will catch him.
Yeah, I figure the game is so different now that it's
I know that
Steph's so good.
Our friend Brad Williams, who we played golf with the other day, Brad's a dwarf, and I'm not saying anything mean. He knows. But Brad and Adam Ray got a gig playing
the celebrity basketball tournament.
Got a gig playing in the celebrity basketball game, and Brad kitted up and he got out there and he went and played, and he was on a team with Ray Allen.
Yeah.
And there was a 3-point shot to have, and Ray Allen was clear, and Brad went, "Fuck it, I'll still have a go."
I love it.
I remember when he posted those videos, I was dying.
Yeah, it was something like they were like at a party. I would have to ask them, but they were at a party and they met David Silver or something. They're like, yeah, I think they really liked their he liked their comedy. He goes, yeah, you should play in the Celebrity All Star. We'll do it. And then there they were, and they were like, holy shit. That was the only time I've ever been jealous in comedy. I don't care about shows or anything. I was watching. I was like, how the fuck did they get to play in the game?
I think Brad did some moves where he was running between people's legs.
Yeah.
Doing crazy
awesome.
steals.
Adam's like picking him up.
Yeah. One time he masqueraded as the ball.
The shortest ever, Muggsy Bogues.
Muggsy Mogues, 5'3".
Did I just say it wrong?
I got the height right.
Yeah.
No,
You
he
got the
called
height
him
right.
Bugsy Mogues again.
Yeah.
I did. I called him Bugsy Mogues. I will say that I think that one of the things that I think is very strange and interesting about the NBA is that the short players in the NBA, like throughout NBA history, have always had like short guy names, like Muggsy Bogues.
Yeah.
Is just like is Spud Webb is another one.
Yeah, but that's only because you're associating it. If there was a big tall bloke called Spud, you go, oh, that's a big guy.
Huge potato.
Oh, wait, Earl Boykins. That was another guy.
Earl Boykins, Earl Boykins.
So,
But that was more like a last name that just sounded like a Boykins. Sounded like a little guy's name.
We have a friend, Al Jackson, who's a comedian as well, and he just rode the bench in his high school basketball team in Ohio and Cleveland. And he said that Earl Boykins, they played against Earl Boykins. I don't know how tall he was. He might have been like 5'4".
He was like 5'7" or something.
Yeah,
he was,
but
5'5" maybe.
He was short. And they were like, this is the best player. You got to, and they were all like, wow, look at this. This guy's 5'5", whatever. And I don't know the exact figure, but apparently he had like 40 points at halftime or something crazy where they were just like, he just smoked the team. They're like, yeah, he's pretty good.
He was a scorer. Yeah. Earl Boykins was absolutely a scorer and really strong. Like famously, he could bench press like 450 pounds or something insane.
What?
Boykins.
Yeah. All right. And then the tallest.
I can't even bench press a Bogues.
The tallest is George Murasan. Now, I think you were thinking of Manute Bol.
That's who I was. Yeah.
Yeah. Murasan they're both 7'7", but like Murasan has him by like 3/4 of an inch.
He had hair. Yeah. Manute was
with the hair. Like, so,
George
but both
Murasan.
7'7" basically, but then Murasan a little bit taller.
And he was in a movie, wasn't he? George Murasan.
My Giant.
My Giant with Billy Crystal.
Yeah. That's
with
wow.
Clippers longtime fan Billy Crystal.
Yeah. That's when you go to the Clippers game and you bring people from overseas. Like I always got to take them to a Clippers game, and they're like, "Oh, who can you see on the sideline?" Because you get Jack Nicholson at the fucking Lakers and all these famous people. Like, if you look very closely, you can see Billy Crystal,
James L. Brooks.
I think who else was Floyd Mayweather always seems to be at the Clippers, but I don't know if that's
more popular.
He's at a lot of games though. He sees like every basketball game.
Well, the Clippers came the in team though for a while when they had, Paul and Griffin.
Yeah, when I started following, it was Paul Griffin, Jordan,
Yeah.
Lob City.
Yeah. Of these players, who was not the number one overall pick? Shaq, Andrew Wiggins, Kobe Bryant, or Mark Aguirre? You said Wiggins.
Yeah.
It's Kobe. I believe Kobe was 16th or 12th or something. Yeah. And then was traded. Yeah. He came in straight out of high school and there wasn't a lot of, scouting wasn't what it is now in 1996. So a high school player, how many people really saw him and really knew how good he was? The Lakers knew though. And so when the Charlotte Hornets selected Kobe, the Lakers then swung a draft day trade, Vlade Divac, for Kobe, for the young Kobe Bryant, fresh out of high school. And NBA history changed on a dime in that moment.
Yeah. Malice at the Palace. You had no clue what that was,
gosh.
Jim. Yeah, that's a big
You've
thing.
seen it, though, for sure, Jim. The Malice at the Palace is a famous fight that occurred at the Palace of Auburn Hills in Detroit, Michigan. The Indiana Pacers were playing the Detroit Pistons. They were big-time rivals at the time in the Eastern Conference. And, one thing led to another. Meta World Peace, then Ron Artest had laid on the scorer's table. A fan threw a drink down from the stands. It landed on Ron Artest. He charged up into the stands. And next thing you know, this one of the biggest and most infamous
Yeah,
fights
I've seen
ever
that.
in
I didn't know it.
professional
I didn't know
sports.
it had a special name.
Yeah, of course. Well, and it was so crazy. I was when that would happen, I had been up for like 2 days on drugs, and I was watching that game and my girlfriend at the time was asleep in the next room. Whatever. I'm just watching the game, and you know, like when you're like you've been on drugs or something, like I don't know who I'm talking to.
I've heard Roman.
Yeah. And like sometimes you don't know if stuff's real or not. It was so weird
Yeah.
that was. I was like, "Is this real? Like, why is he in the
I'm
stands
so
fighting
fucked
this
up."
guy right now?" And then there was like people punching on the court, and I'm like, "This can't be real at all." I was like questioning reality and stuff. And I was watching it live. I was just like, "Okay." Yeah.
It's like one time I was in Palm Springs on mushrooms, and
Oh yeah,
and-
there's a basketball thing. Yeah.
Yeah, this is basketball related.
Yeah,
very,
that's
very,
right.
very loosely basketball related. So I'm on mushrooms at Palm Springs, and I'm there with my now wife, and it was one of our first dates, and we were watching the news. The news was on, and then all of a sudden, I just saw like Dennis Rodman in a MAGA hat crying about.
yeah.
I remember this.
Crying about North and South Korea and all this, North Korea being unified with Donald Trump. And I rang Forrest up and I went, "Is everything all right?" I thought I was just freaking out. I didn't know.
Because you saw Dennis Rodman crying on TV.
Dennis Rodman's wearing a MAGA hat and crying about Kim Jong-un. What's going on?
I had no context. You're just like, "Is everything okay?" I'm like, "What do you mean? Is everything okay?" Like Dennis Rodman's crying on television. It's like everything's fine. Just go back to whatever you're doing.
I totally remember that.
Yeah, and I don't know if this is a true story, and I just remember hearing this like when Ron Artest and who else was he fighting with in the stands? I forget.
Well, Ron Artest was like basically fighting fans. When
Yeah,
he
but there was
ran into
another
the
player
stands.
fighting with him.
Steven Jackson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I heard a story where they were in the locker room after the entire place got turned upside down, and then he's talking to Steven Jackson, and he just turns to him and he just goes, "Hey, do you think we're gonna get in trouble for this?"
Yeah, that's exactly. Has been reported. He was like, "You think we're gonna get suspended?" Steve Jackson's like,
Anything's gonna happen?
"What are you talking about?"
And what did happen? They just got suspended for a bit.
And they got. I mean, Ron Artest was out for the year. Like it
Whole
was.
year.
It was a big deal. It
Whole
was a
year.
really,
Wow.
really big deal. There were a lot of changes. Some would say, kind of like overbearing changes that the league put down. A revamped dress code, things of that nature, because of the the bad optics.
that's why you're no longer allowed to fight the fans.
Gotten too PC with this bloody cancel culture. I liked it when what's his name, the baseball player who Ty Cobb used to just beat up people with no arms.
Yeah, crawled into the stands. Yeah,
Didn't he beat up a person with no arms?
no hand. Yeah, he said he was heckling him, I think, or
A
something.
guy with no arms was heckling him, so he punched the shit out of him. Great ball player.
Hall of Fame, baby. Tim Donaghy, you said was Tim Duncan's name before the stage name.
Yeah.
Oh, Tim Donaghy. So Tim Donaghy was a longtime NBA referee who, it would come to light, had been involved in a organized crime involved point shaving scandal that he was taking part in, using his role as a referee. So he would call fouls on players to try and affect the spread and try and affect the outcomes of games.
Yeah.
And
that's-
the NBA investigated and said that there was no actual, none of the actual results of games were altered, but I think that there is significant evidence to say that that was not the case.
Mhm.
The recent podcast about this, but the NBA just kind of wanted that to go away. So Tim Donaghy was, ejected from the league. He did time, but I think there's quite a bit of circumstantial evidence and even hard evidence, analytical evidence, that he did affect the outcome of lots of games. Or else why would organized crime be
Why would you do
using
it?
him?
Right.
Yeah, why would he be involved in it?
We just like this specific score. It has nothing to do with the outcome.
I like that the NBA did the investigation. Like, it didn't affect anything. Everything's fine.
Yeah, and that's it. And he's gone, and that's it. And we're moving on.
What were you saying, Jim?
I was just thinking about, I saw that documentary on the guy from Goodfellas, the actual bloke from Goodfellas, and he used to bribe the players in college basketball.
Mm-hmm.
You ever seen that? That's a good one. Well, it's not a very funny thing to say.
It's fine. You said Donald Sterling is a misunderstood man.
Oh, I was joking. That was a joke. Don't get me in trouble for that.
I wrote in the notes, misunderstood man, also terrible person. Don't worry.
He was a guy who dated. He still has his wife. He owned the Clippers, and he said some very disparaging things about black players, black people in general. And then his girlfriend called him out, and then he sold the team at a massive profit, and that'll show him. He sold the team for like over $1 billion, like a mental price. So, you know.
I forget what it was. It was something
like 1.3 billion or something.
And that's karma for you.
Yeah, it was multiple billions of dollars.
Yeah, Steve Boomer or whatever his name is. Ballmer. I like to watch him when I watch the Clippers. He's my favorite thing about the Clippers.
Why is that?
Because he's just an animated little red tomato of a man, and he just gets all fired up. You can see on his face, because he's at every game. During COVID, I could tell the exact moment that Doc Rivers was fired, where he. I was like, oh, and he's fired.
Why? What happened?
Well, they didn't win.
Oh, I got you.
They didn't fucking win. He bought all these big players, and he thought he was buying himself a championship. And in Doc Rivers, and then they just weren't fucking up to scratch.
Yeah.
And he was pretty pissed about it, Ballmer. And you could see it underneath his face mask. He was swearing underneath his little COVID mask. What do you think the Clippers' chances are this year?
Well, listen, they have a great team on paper. I just have a lot of questions about them when it comes down to crunch time, when it hits the playoffs, because they've had great teams on paper many times in the past. Something always seems to happen. Either it's a key injury or just flat out choking in the clutch. Something always seems to happen with this team. They did get a little better with the addition of Serge Ibaka and stuff, but it's still the basic DNA with Kawhi and Paul George. I still think the Lakers are the favorite. It remains to be seen. Maybe they figure out how to put it all together at the right moment, but it just hasn't happened yet.
Oh, well.
Well, I have a question. Okay, this is just an opinion question. So
Sure.
I'm a Heat fan. I was when LeBron decided to go there, I was elated, even though everyone was angry at him. And I always defend him because they say that he made that announcement and it was like, blah, blah, the decision was bad.
All right, you're one of the richest athletes to have ever been. Do you want to live in Cleveland or Miami?
Yeah.
Oh, what a traitor. That's like, I've always had this opinion on fucking Wayne Gretzky. Why did he leave Edmonton for Los Angeles? They put documentaries about that. They make fucking documentaries about why he left Edmonton.
We've cracked the code.
For fucking Los Angeles. It's like there should just be a photo of each town, and that's the documentary.
90 minutes of the photo.
His wife was like a hot chick who wanted to do acting. I don't know what happened there. You think you got paid the king's ransom, eh?
I wasn't even mad when he left Miami because I was like, thanks for your service here. It was amazing. But the discussion of whether he's better, him or Jordan is better, I think he's better than Jordan. But I don't know if I'm being.
I think it's very, very close, right? And obviously, like, it's hard to adjust for eras. But in my book, I do think that he is. I think that he edges Jordan. I think that if he wins it, I think if he wins another title this year or at any point in his career, I think that would, in my book, again, make it pretty clear that he's better than Jordan. Just look at the things that happened.
Jordan didn't have Dellavedova.
That's huge.
They didn't win that year, though, with Dellavedova.
He won one year with Delly.
I think that was the one that they... Oh, they did?
Yeah, he did win with Delly.
Delly has a ring.
Yeah. I remember I was calling you up. Like, fucking Delly's playing good, man.
No, that was the year. You called me when they lost, but then the next year I forgot he was still on the team.
Yeah.
So I do think that it's LeBron for a variety of reasons. The eight finals in a row is amazing. The longevity at age 36 to still be playing the way he is. I also think if you look at what happened when those two players left their teams, right? So Michael Jordan left to go play baseball, and the Bulls were basically like a foul away from the Eastern Conference Finals, won 53 games. Scottie Pippen was an MVP candidate. LeBron James leaves Cleveland, like the entire economy of the city goes into the toilet. Not to mention that
they lost their
team is
$5.
Yeah, the whole city was just like, we're done. We got a chandelier in the middle of town. That's it. But the other thing I would say is from the time he was like 14, there was pressure put on LeBron. And Jordan was like, they famously got covered in his high school team. And then also, I know everyone says this, but the way social media and stuff is now, the worst thing they ever say about LeBron is he did The Decision, which raised $4 million for the Boys and Girls Club of America. That's the worst thing he ever did was raise millions of dollars.
I was going to say, he's a better person, no contest.
Just watching that documentary, I don't think Michael Jordan would have done very well in social media.
No. Not at all.
He would have been canceled over and over and over again.
Even Rodman, that shot when he's like, he's going to take some time off and he goes to Vegas, he shotguns a beer and gets on a motorcycle. I was like, what? I was like, they were they had it on tape, and he's just like in the middle of the season. All right.
Plus, with Space Jam 2, we'll see if LeBron's Space Jam is better than Jordan's.
Oh, there's no way. There's no way.
No, LeBron can act a bit. He can act a little bit. He was
in
good.
Trainwreck.
He was good in Trainwreck.
He was legitimately good in Trainwreck. Legitimately great.
Yeah. So
still a sequel though.
What's the controversy of the bunny now that her boobs aren't big enough or something?
Oh yeah, she used to be fuckable and now she's just a tomboy, and I'm fucking upset about it.
Oh, they've reduced her tits.
Yeah,
I didn't even hear about this.
She's no longer curvy.
If you know anything about me, I try to stay off social media. I didn't know.
Yeah.
Oh God, I'm not going to watch this now.
They're also getting rid of Pepe Le Pew in Space Jam 2.
Yeah, because he's a rapist.
But I think they're adding Harry Potter.
What?
So,
what?
What do you mean? Like live action?
I think they're adding in a bunch of WB franchises into Space Jam 2. It's not just Looney Tunes
then it's not
anymore.
going to be good at all, is what you're saying.
Oh, don't get me started on fucking Harry Potter. Quidditch is a stupid sport. You get score, hoop, and if you get the little thing with wings, you win. Don't worry about the other points.
Just go get the snitch.
Just focus on the snitch. Let him score 100.
That was a genuine strategy that a lot of teams would employ. Was like, let's just catch the snitch.
Yeah, just go for the snitch.
Never seen Harry Potter movie. I don't know what you guys are talking about. I know what Quidditch is, but yeah.
Oh yeah, I've never seen a Harry Potter movie, but I know what Quidditch is.
No, I've been on the ride. I've been on the ride at Universal, so it's
well, I'd still fuck that rabbit.
She's still super hot.
And that's all we've learned on this podcast.
She's still hot.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have a problem with her. And plus, she's sporty. I like that. Takes care of her body. And I heard she fucks like one of a kind.
Okay, so this is the part of the podcast we call Dinner Party Facts. We ask our guest to give us like one fact or interesting story about the topic that maybe you think our listeners wouldn't know. It's kind of like that they can use like at a dinner party or a bar. So anything that you could think of that.
Sure. Yeah. So the NBA logo has kind of been in the news about whether it's going to be changed. There's a bunch of players that want it to be changed to Kobe Bryant, and it's pretty iconic outline of a basketball player kind of dribbling the ball, moving down the court in red and blue colors with white. That is the outline of Jerry West. It's a picture of Jerry West, Laker legend Jerry West. And it is, that's a well-known fact. People talk about it all the time. It's referenced, but the NBA has actually never on the record admitted that it's Jerry West because they, didn't get his okay to use his likeness for the logo, and they just and paid the artist to just kind of do it. So while it is widely accepted that is Jerry West. The NBA has been very cagey about that fact. And when they have been asked about it at various interviews, they've said, all the records pertaining to like where that art came from, we lost them.
Well, see, this is the thing. I've been trying to sue Pillsbury for the longest time. Because they never got my okay on that. And it's very clearly me.
That's great. I've heard that thing the whole time. Yeah, it is Jerry West. The NBA is like, nah, that's Johnny West. It's a different guy.
They've just said that they don't know who it is or what the artist's inspiration was, and they don't have any records of what happened.
But it looks.
But the artist has said that it is him.
Yeah. He's like, it literally was him. I'm like, wow, okay, cool. All right, well, thanks for being here. I just want to reiterate again, the new shows are called Takeline and All Caps NBA with Crooked Media. Where can people find that?
You can find that on the Takeline YouTube page. You can find me on Twitter at network, NETW3RK, and you can find all my bio and stuff there. And then you can find it on the Crooked Media channel, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Takeline in all caps.
Awesome. Well, thanks for being here, Jim.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it was great. Any parting thoughts, Jim?
No, but thank you for being on the podcast. I appreciate you being on. This is fascinating. I think your scoring was not accurate.
He was doing the Tim Donaghy.
Yeah,
He was point shaving.
Shaving it. I'll split the money with you, though, Jim.
It did affect the outcome.
He does
we
work
will be
for
right.
Crooked Media, so you can't
shit.
trust this guy.
Jack, jeez.
If you ever see the NBA logo and someone says to you, you know that's Muggsy Bogues, go, well, I don't know about that. Thanks for listening. Good night, Australia.